Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Talks with TEC. My name is Jibran and I'm here with my friends Ekta and Naveya. So when it comes to the day-to-day usage of technology and gadgets, we all want to stay up to date. We want the latest refrigerators, the latest microwaves, the latest laptops, and the latest phones. But have you ever wondered about what happens to the ones that we dispose of? You'd be surprised to know that according to a survey, the total value of the raw materials present in e-waste is estimated at approximately 61.05 billion dollars, and this number just keeps on increasing. I mean, isn't that just amazing? That's more than the GDP of most countries in the world. So logically saying, recycling the e-waste is not only a smart but also a very economically helpful idea. Now, India is among the top 5 countries in the world for the production of e-waste. With most of these recycling, a major part of these recycling is done on rooftops by individuals who are not properly equipped with safety gears or the idea of how they are harming the environment and themselves. So, for today's episode, we have someone who is environmentalist at his heart and a leader in the waste management industry. He is currently running a company with only 44 employees, but they have still managed to become one of the top 10 most admired pollution control companies in India. They're also the very first green company in India and the very first ones to come up with a solution of how to recycle and reuse the PUFs from our refrigerators. The CEO of Exigo Recycling Company, Mr. ALN Rao. Hello, sir. How are you?
Fine, thanks. How are you?
I'm fine. You're fine, sir. Thank you so much for coming online with us.
Sure, thanks.
So I'll quickly go about how this is gonna go. We have a set of 8 to 10 questions that we're gonna ask you, and we're gonna ask some fun questions during the end sections of our interview. So we can start whenever you say you're ready, sir.
Go ahead, shoot.
Sure, sir. Okay, sir. So the very first question that I have for you is, could you please give us a brief about Exigo Recycling? What is the company all about? What's their mission and their goal?
This is a 9-year-old company, and when the company started, the objective of starting the organization was basically to cater to the e-waste that's present in the informal sector, right? Um, so the idea was very simple: that try to get materials from the informal sector and recycle them, and try to get in the base metals that comes in copper, aluminum, so on and so forth, brass as such, and sell it in the open market. That's the way it started off. But slowly over a period of time, we started moving into the formal sector. And as we started moving into the formal sector, the type of products that started coming in as e-waste was pretty different. So we at Exigo started working on a lot of technologies and a lot of processes, homegrown indigenous technologies and processes, where we are able to extract a lot many metals and at a very low cost, right? Now recycling is technology. You would say e-waste recycling technology plays a very important role, but apart from that, it's the processes that's the most important one, where we are focusing in a very big way. So Exigo is an organization who are in the business of refining, recycling, refurbishing, and remanufacturing. And we are in the B2B and B2C models of business, and we do volumetric and non-volumetric products, and we take care of the identification, the pickups, the reverse logistics, the warehousing, the transshipment, and the receiving at the plants and recycling the material, dismantling and recycling the material. And we are in the industries of consumer durables, IT products, the telecom mobility sector, solar. We've also there gone into the lithium ion batteries, and now we are entering into the electric vehicle battery segment. And also we've got into refining, in the sense that refining of precious metals like palladiums and titaniums and tantalums and so on, other gold, silver, as such. And last but not the least, trying to put up a carbonization model, pyrolysis model, I would say, where we will become the first organization in the country to be generating or producing BS6 fuel. And using it for our plant, where 40 to 50% of the electrical consumption capacity, is generated within the organization itself. So the very first plant in this industry in the country we would become. So this is about Exigo Recycling, I would say.
Wow, sir. So you're not just recycling, you're refurbishing, remanufacturing, and now you're also into the energy sector where you produce your own energy. That's really
That's right.
commendable and amazing, sir. So
True,
that gets me
true.
to the second question, that is that the services that Exigo provides are both important and valuable, but still there's a huge gap in the e-waste management processes all across the world. So could you please tell us about the challenges that you face as a company coming up and the present challenges also? What do you face right now?
See, India is a very unique country, I would say, and the challenges here are very different from the rest of the world. In Europe and in US, how it works is it works into a PRO model, a producer responsibility organization model, where the government is a very important stakeholder and it collects an advance recycling fees. The producer collects it through its retail network from end consumers, deposits into an escrow account, and it's been handed over to the recycler. So recycler sets his processes, his factories, his plants, collects the end of life material from different collection points and recycles the same. In India, it's not so. So in India, it's been uh, predominantly operated by the informal sector. So India's got an excellent informal sector, a beautiful networking of people who are able to identify an asset and collect it and ship it across in different forms. And the collection wise excellent network, but as well as it's a unorganized way of recycling that takes place, right, with the informal sector, and that's where the catch is. So the challenges that the industry faces currently is investment of plants is it's a very large, huge investment that takes place. And you need to feed e-waste, feed material to run the plants on a continuous basis. That feedstock that's required is to be purchased at the right cost. So, but however, the informal sector, because of the prudent practices, the unorganized ways of working that these people do, they are able to buy it at much cheaper costs, right? And which means that there's a viability gap there. And because of the new rules that's been introduced by the government in 2016 called the Extended Producer Responsibility Rules, and also the amendments that have come in 2018, this has helped a lot of recyclers. Hence, currently, I remember a time a few years back, there were hardly around 5 to 10 recyclers. Now there are 312 recyclers and dismantlers as announced by the Central Pollution Control Board recently, right? And the capacities earlier that was available was something around less than a lakh tons. Now there's around almost zero point 0.9 million tons capacity available in the country. So the challenges are very many. Volumetric products, shipping across the country is a big issue. Price at which the products can be, e-waste can be purchased is on the higher side. Viability gap funding needs to be done. Government support is nil. So the challenges that's there is very, very many for a recycler in India, I would say, for a matter. Yeah.
So that's what someone has really rightly said, that when you go out to bring a change, you'll have to walk some distance alone, and that's when you actually decide your fate of will you bring the change or not. So you're in that phase, I would say, and I hope that you achieve as a company achieve the goal and bring the right change that is required, sir.
True,
That gets me
true,
to the
true.
third question, that is I came across an article where you said that it is a very well known fact that anything to do with electronics recycling is critical. So can you throw some more light upon that, please?
Um, so it's called urban mining, actually speaking, right? Availability of resources is metal and materials, I would say. The most valuable resources are there, which is being done through your regular mining works. And the resources, there is a scarcity. So hence, for that matter, you need to actually recycle the recover the metals and materials that's available in electronics, for that matter. So recycling, urban recycling, I would say, or urban mining, I would say, is a very, very important in the entire ecosystem. Now, the concept of a circular economy is that, right? Anything and everything that can be reused, or that can be actually recycled, refined, and reused, and the raw materials can be reused in remanufacturing the same product, either at the core parts or the non-core parts. The circular economy in the true sense would start working in a very, very big way there, right? So if you don't recycle, what happens? The important, I would say, resources that are there, it gets lost, it gets buried in landfills. And when non-availability of these resources is there, then automatically the cost of manufacturing new products increases, which actually brings in inflations to the entire country, to the entire world, for that matter. So that's the reason why we talk about circular economy at all times, and see how best we can get into a circular economy concept, country wise, state wise, city wise, and so on and so forth. Yeah.
Okay, so as you said, so the resources are scarce, so we need to make the most out of them, right? And when you have limited resources, then ideas about finding those resources and reusing them are very critical. But unfortunately, the concept of commercial exhibition in India is kindly lagging a bit behind. You've been part of the recent e-commerce exhibitions, and we'd like you to please share what your experience has been about them, and what would be your best favorite idea about the models for e-waste management.
So the see there are multiple stakeholders into this ecosystem, right? Now it's the end consumer. Firstly, the end consumer, Indians don't give anything free. So they expect it for anything and everything. Even for newspaper, you need 10 rupees a kg. You know, you will never want to donate it to anybody, for that matter, right? So what is the commercial realization that an end consumer is going to get is the most important criteria in this whole ecosystem. Then comes in the kabadiwalas, or the informal sector, or the collector, whoever is collecting those materials. Technology plays a very important part in connecting all these stakeholders and bringing in a lot of transparency. In the country, currently, around 90% of the materials is being recycled by the informal sector, right? In that scenario, how do you bring in the transparency? The government is a major stakeholder. Legislation has been brought in by the government, rules has been brought in, targets has been set in. So in that way, the government has done its bit, right? The producer, so it's a concept of the polluter pays principle. So it's the producer who's manufacturing the product and polluting the environment. So it's his or her responsibility to ensure there is a take back of those end of life products and are being recycled, for that matter. So, and then comes the logistics players and the warehouse players who actually, try to bring in the reverse logistics. Is a very entirely different concept in the country. There are no set formulas, models available. So it's an innovation in the process now. And e-waste is something which it comes in liquid, gas forms, broken forms, and so on, and leakages. So you need to be very careful because gases are involved also there, and then storages, and finally comes into the dismantling and recycling, the refining, and then downstream vendors. So there are multiple stakeholders in this entire ecosystem. So there is nothing called a one size fits all model in this entire business. Each one tries to take a particular part of this ecosystem and tries to excel, right? And integrated recyclers who is able to offer multiple solutions using technology across the country for all the stakeholders. There are hardly one or two or three in the country. That's it, right? Exigo is one of them, I would say. So, um, so there's nothing called a set model and each one tries to come out with new models. It's a very nascent industry in the country currently. Even in India, even the worldwide, it's only 60% recycling takes place. Collection is around 70, 80%. In India, it's around 40, 50, 60% collection have started taking place. The recycling is hardly 10% formal recycling that's taking place. So we have a long, long way to go. So over a period of time, in 3 to 5 years' time, as the implementation of the rules that's been announced by the government, the regulation becomes, the compliances become stricter, the monitoring becomes effective, the transparency through various portals is being demonstrated, the data being published is transparent information about exact information that's currently happening in the country, and technology wise, processes wise, the recyclers or the ecosystem, the players in the ecosystem come out with better technologies and processes. Automatically this industry will start moving into a model where, you know, um, a model where any stakeholder in this chain will be able to make money. Now that's where everybody are heading to. So there's a changes that are happening in the horizon of next to 3 to 5 years time. There'll be a lot of settling down that will happen, and that's where we can actually speak about some good models to identify and say, okay, this works for a country like India.
Okay, so there's no particular one major player in the whole game. It's like it's a collective growth, and I think there's a very positive change that is being visible in a country. That's really nice, sir. That is very, very nice. So, that brings me to my next question, and it's connected to this because you are the CEO of such a unique IDN company, which is a company that is based on such a unique idea, and even with such less resources and employees, you have achieved so much already. That's really commendable. So I'd like to ask your views on, people usually say that those who think out of the box are someone who achieve beyond their limit. So what are your views on this, that one should always have that creativity and that unique thinking when it comes to business or working in the environment?
Um, See, the family who was invested in this organization and the employees in this organization, the intent is a very positive intent, right? The intent is to bring in a change and contribute to the betterment of all living beings, right? Now, when that positive intent comes, positive things happen automatically, right? So that's the first thing. Two, many times I've seen in the last decade where people say that there are a lot of problems. The world is full of problems. Life is full of problems, right? But we at Exigo, we actually try to identify solutions. We try to find out solution for every problem, however big or small let it be, right? And see, there are solutions that can be given at the mass level and then customized specific solutions that's there. We try to pick and choose the most difficult problems that exist and try to work solutions there. You you become, the competition is lesser there, the challenges are very high, but the competition is lesser. You then look into the best practices worldwide and you compete with the world's best, right? So you, Exigo tries to benchmark itself in that level, saying that if we were to attempt something, let's put in our energies into those difficult challenges and try to achieve solutions. Namely, for example, um, refrigerators everybody use at homes. Everybody know refrigerator what it is. The refrigerator, once it is disposed of, right? The challenges to dispose of a refrigerator is very complex. Now, why? Because there is an element called puff inside the refrigerator. The inner lining of a refrigerator is called puff, right? Now, there's no solution available for puff. Actually speaking, the informal sector takes it, throws it away wherever possible in open land, right? Um, what we try to do, we have come out with an innovative solution where we are able to actually shred that puff, and size reduction takes place and through various process extracting the hazardous gas that's there in the puff, and reduce the mass of the puff there, and we may make briquettes, and the briquette is around 1 feet by 6 inch dia, and to dispose of puff in the landfills, authorized government approved landfills, it will cost, including all the costs, it will cost around 13 to 14 rupees, I would say. Wherein what we have come out with, we have come out with this these cylindrical briquettes, where these are being given to cement kilns, and they use this in the brick kilns as fuel, right? And this the calorific value is equal to or higher than coal, and the residual value is lesser than coal. So that's the innovation that's been brought into the country, right? And we are the first in the country to come out with such policies there. And similarly for EV battery recycling or lithium ion battery recycling, where we are one amongst the players who are able to extract lithium, cobalt, tin, manganese, from batteries, and bring in refining process within the country, which is not existent. And now slowly players are getting into that. And hopefully going forward, we should be one of those successful players in the lithium ion and EV battery recycling. So the reason for success for the organization is to identify challenges, and you pick your battles, right? You pick your challenges and you try to give in low cost effective solutions and easy to replicate worldwide. But anything and everything what we do, we try to work out with complete transparency and use tech to a large extent. And that creates a lot of difference between us and others, for that matter.
Exactly. So innovation will only come when you are creative in that department. When you look for new solutions, that is the only time you will be able to be, you will be able to bring up innovation. That's really amazing, sir. So now, because you said about, cities and recycling of e-waste in the cities, it's a very big challenge for setting up e-waste management systems in the cities. Because if we talk about outskirts and, sometime a bit of our country, we can still set up factories there, but cities pose a very big challenge because of all the laws and restrictions. So, how can smart tech driven waste management systems be effective in that sector? And uh, how effective are they? How do you feel that how much do they have?
See, as setting up a plant in a red category, where you deal with hazardous liquids and gases, it's not easy. It's very capital intensive, and you need to be clear that you are able to put in the right processes and systems and safety measures, right? Both for employees, land, water, air, put in the right air pollution control systems and mechanisms, and then operate. So we try to ensure that we do all this in the right way, and b, using the tech systems in the processes completely. So the idea here is that to understand, I mean, you do a lot of R&D. That's a part and parcel of the whole thing. Um, you you conduct such pilot projects with various labs funded by us, with government and private labs also, and you make things happen. You understand at the pilot level, the lab level, what happens, then experimented at the plant levels again. And so, so setting up a plant, usually it's outside the cities mostly, right? And setting in the right infrastructure that's required for a plant in this nature, and monitoring it on a 24/7, and ensuring that the input material that comes in, the screening that needs to take place using tech and AIs and analyzers and so on and so forth, the input material that comes inside for recycling and analyzing and feeding the stock for processing is the most important aspect in the e-waste management. And if that sort of a sorting and that sort of an identification and screening takes place properly, accident doesn't happen, and the yield that you get is as per your expected needs there. So slightly different complex processes there, but it's a very safe industry, and it's not that it's that complicated. And a lot of young entrepreneurs who are coming into this business, who are setting it up, and not necessarily everybody have to get into refining. Lots and lots of people who are getting into dismantling jobs, and dismantling needs hardly a few shredders and balers and conveyors and so on and so forth. Um, Both it will be manual and it's only in the recycling way that you use the hydrometallurgical or the pyrometallurgical, or there's multiple processes available there. So it's a very interesting industry. It's a very challenging industry, and I'm very happy in India now. There are a lot of players, young entrepreneurs that are coming up and setting up plants now, and but pretty exciting times as far as the industry is concerned, I would say. Yeah.
So basically, a better management is obviously the solution to everything. That's what technology also comes in. That if you
True.
have the better technology, you'll be able to, segregate and then recycle it better and give out a better product. That's really amazing, sir.
True.
So that brings me to the next question. That is, awareness is the first step to bring about change. But development is slow because people don't know about the responsibility and the tools that they have to bring a faster change. For example, regarding the e-waste, we have the Electronic Waste Recycling Act and the Universal Waste laws that govern and help people understanding how to dispose of their e-material, e-waste, right? But people are not aware about them. So on an individual level, as for example, college students, how do you suggest that we can help and spread the awareness about these things?
Say, youth plays a very important role in any waste management industry, I would say. Um, the role of youth is considered. There are skill development programs, and there are various other awareness campaigns and programs that's been conducted by the government also, and by private players too. And across the spectrum, I see youth play a very important role. NGOs, and also youth part-time, full-time through NGOs, they work a lot in tier 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cities, and they bring in a lot of uh, there's skits that comes in, dramas that comes in, songs that have come in, cartoons that have come in, movies that have come in, films and infomercials and commercials, so on and so forth. So pretty good there. But my suggestion and advice to the youth of the country, and especially students, is waste management industry. The scope is very, very large, very, very big, for employment as well as for entrepreneurship, right? And ideally speaking, if you get onto the field, understand whoever's interested in technical or non-technical, and there are multiple fields again in this. Technology is going to play a very, very important part also. So chemical engineering, metallurgical engineering, instrumentation, and so on and so forth, and mechanical engineers, and every sort of engineering plays a very vital part here, right? Again, marketing plays a very important to advertising, plays a very important part. So the students in particular can actually excel in the areas of their interest and start getting into the waste management industry and contribute a lot to the country and to the world, for that matter. Nowadays it's going to be more of the social media, and you would see every day you'll be bombarded with a lot of information about waste management. So good opportunities exist for uh, the youth and the college students, especially, as internships, as your spare time, voluntary services, through NGOs or through any of the other PROs or recyclers or producers, get into it, you know, uh, understand the complexities. And what happens is word of mouth advertising plays a very, very important part. And the more the people are aware of the dangers that exist in the e-waste and the plastic waste managements, the hazards that exist there. And the more understanding comes in, the more awareness is being created, and the more communication is actually spread by that individual. And slowly and steadily, there is a lot of awakening that takes place in the country, and through which automatically we would be able to see a change in the mindsets of every individual, every citizen in the country. Thereby, that brings into a lot of change. So it starts from the youth there, starts from the students, kids there, and right from the kids level, even from nursery level, there's a lot of change in the curriculum that's taking place now as we speak, and good for the country. And over a period of time, I would say that a big enough change would come into the society. Yeah.
So kids are the future of the country. Youth is the future of the country, and the more informed they are, the more developed the country becomes. That's the right
Sure.
thing that you said, sir. But sir, I'd like to also ask you a very simple question that youth these days or anybody on that matter, we don't know how to actually properly dispose our e-waste material. For example, if we have a phone or a laptop, we want to dispose it, so we can't just go up and walk up to a dustbin and dispose it there. So how should we? What should be the process of whole thing, and how can we make the whole process more effective?
See, under the new EPR rules, the Extended Producer Responsibility Rules 2016 and amendments that come in 18, it is mandatory for anybody and everybody, the stakeholders that are there in this ecosystem, to announce to the end consumers collection centers, collection points, toll-free numbers, or a contact number. So every citizen can log in to any producer, any recycler, any PRO, and there would be a contact number available, and you just have to call that number, and there would be somebody who would be coming and picking it up from your residence for that matter. Or there are collection centers and collection points advertised in every website of every producer, recycler, PRO, and you, if it is nearby your location, your residence or office, you can just walk into that location, drop by, and there will be a register that will be noted or with your details also for that matter. So those facilities have actually been announced, and the more the awareness starts getting created of these two, the awareness would be available, and the end consumers would know where and how to dispose of this e-waste of theirs.
So there are facilities, there are mediums through which we can help, and that's just very important that we should know about it. So thank you so much, sir, for letting us know that there are so many things that we can use and help for a better change. So one final serious question, sir. After that, we'll have some casual questions with you, sir. That is that how do you think that the industry will change the face of the world? What's the future of e-waste management industries and companies?
See, e-waste globally, it generated around 53 million metric tons last year. India generated something around 3 to 4 million metric tons last year. Okay, the growth of Asia is 3x, 4x than the rest of the world. India, in the next 3 to 5 years' time, will become the world leader in generating e-waste because of the population, because of consumption, because of new appliances, because of short life of gadgets that are coming in there, right? So the so for a serious player who wants to invest his time and energy and money in this industry will definitely be, he will reap benefits, he or she will reap benefits and rewards, right? The e-waste business will become an industry going forward. The waste management, plastics, e-waste, all this will become industries going forward, in a very, very big way. And solid waste management, as of now, we know for a fact that every day the household waste, 3 days you will not be able to retain that waste in your place, right, in your residence, right? Similarly, the problem is going to arise in India also for the e-waste and plastic waste, and hence a lot of dynamic, a lot of new rules that's been announced by the government, and a lot of new players that are coming in. So yes, to answer your question, it's a very, very good question as far as the future of this industry is concerned. It's going to be phenomenal. There's a big requirement for professionals in this particular industry, in all the across all the stakeholders across the ecosystem, and there's going to be a lot of employment generation. As of now, direct and indirect, by 2025 in this industry, e-waste industry alone, we're looking at 500,000 jobs being produced, I would say, for people to take. And going forward, it's going to quadruple, right? So that's the number of jobs that's going to be available. So job creation, job generation is going to be mammoth, direct and indirect, in this particular industry. So a pretty good industry, plastic waste and e-waste, both, I would say, for it matter. And look forward to a lot of youth, look forward to a lot of young people, dynamic young people joining this industry and taking this forward in a big way. Yeah.
We are seeing a very positive change coming up, and with a lot of employment being generated, and also a lot of opportunities for the fresh youth out there. That's really amazing, sir. So that brings us to the end of one section. So now we'd like to have a bit of casual questions with you, sir. You can ask them, you can relax, and you can answer them whenever you want, however you want to answer them. You worked in so many companies and at very respectable positions. So when was it that you felt like, okay, now I finally achieved it. Now I finally, managed to get it, and felt like giving a pat to yourself on your shoulder, sir?
I think that day will never come. So see, it's a journey, right? And you keep learning a lot of things, right? So to a large part of the life, I've been on one side of the table where people come and they try to offer services to you, right? And the last decade or so, I've been into the other side of the table where I'm a service provider, I would say, right? So, but as you mature and as you grow old, you understand life better, right? And once you start understanding life better, you like giving back to the society a lot of good things, right? And that's the reason why I am in this particular industry, wanting to do something good for the next generations. Because the present that is there, we, because of this pollution, we are actually borrowing from your generations, the next generations. We are borrowing the time from there, actually speaking. And we need to do something really good and fast, to make things better, for the next future generations, for that matter. Hence, the current journey is to my journey is to ensure that, whatever best that can be contributed to the best of for the society, on the environment side to a large extent, try doing it. And that's where the personal satisfaction comes to a large extent.
That's a very honest answer, sir. And as you said, that's a journey to help create a better future. That's really nice. Thank you so much for sharing such a beautiful message with us. So one very similar question, sir, I'd like to ask you. So a lot of people ask you about the failures that you face, the challenges that you face. I would like to ask you a very different kind of a question. Is please share an instant with us that when your employee of yours had come up to you and appreciated, or came up to you and thanked you for the work that you're doing and complimented you for the amazing boss and the head that you are, amazing leader that you are.
Ha! You see, it's always the concept of a leader that is very important, right? And a leader's job is actually at all times to identify the strengths and weaknesses of people below or with you, identify and rectify and handhold people, right? So when a transformation takes place of an individual over a period of time, of the weaknesses that become strengths, right? Of the weaknesses they're able to address, and then they're able to come out in strength and demonstrate. It could be a simple concept of a public speaking. It could be a simple concept of preparing a presentation, for it matter, right? Or it could be a question of creating a proposal, or going and pitching a client, for that matter, or coming out with an ad campaign, for that matter, right? And so on and so forth. There are multiple things there. So when an individual is able to see that change that they have been brought in, then they understand that yes, it is the efforts that's been put in by me as an individual, but it is the guidance of the senior or the leader due to which the change has taken place. So multiple instances where many people many a times keep coming and thanking, but at the end of the day, as I said, it's a journey. And there are, I like a teacher, there are people who worked for me earlier. Currently they're all vice presidents and CEOs and entrepreneurs across the world who are successful. And even now when people call and say, sir, at that time there was a knock on my head and then you corrected me when I did a mistake, but now this is what I am trying to teach the other people who are under me. It brings a lot of satisfaction personally, right? And so it goes on and on and on. And a leader is a leader at all times. Difference between a leader and a manager always will be there. So I try to look at myself more of a leader than being a boss or a manager at all times.
That's really nice. As you said, that these are the small things that actually create the bigger difference.
Sure.
So that is really commendable. So that's very commendable. So just we are down to a couple of questions, last questions. Unfortunately, we're coming to the end of our interview. Our final question. So that would be like, what would be your message to our viewers? One final message for our viewers, sir.
See, there are two messages I would like to give. One is from the waste management side. I mean, each one of us are responsible citizens, human beings, and we understand the pains and pleasures that exist in our lives. So, a wake up call is this COVID 19 that has come in, and we have started, each one of us have started respecting a lot of the environment, nature, and we have understood the importance in a very, very big way. Similarly, please give importance to the waste management aspect too. Could it be plastics or anything waste for that matter? I know not particularly about electronic waste or plastic. Anything, do not waste. See how you can actually make best use of it or dispose it off in the right way at the right time to the right people. That's the crucial thing there. As far as life is concerned, there are a lot of people who pick future, who pick the careers, who pick the jobs, what they want to do on a daily basis or on a weekly, monthly, or on a continuous basis, right? And not everybody will be successful all times, and there'll be a lot of failures. Never mind, you know, obstacles are going to be there, and it's part of journey. And what it does is it actually teaches you how do you become successful when such obstacles come again in your life. And so don't lose faith, and be confident in what you do, be brave, be smart, and try to do the things that you feel is right. Don't do it for others, try to do it for yourself. And try to be happy, live your life at all times. Don't live for others, live your life. It could be just walking on the grass barefoot, no problem. It's a small simple thing, but still the pleasure that an individual gains from that is phenomenal. So enjoy your life to the fullest. Life is full of surprises and shock. So no matter how careful you are, what needs to happen is going to happen. So current moment, enjoy it, live your life fully, be happy, keep smiling, keep helping, and you will see a lot of joy in you and around you at all times.
On that amazing note, sir, on that amazing note of about finding happiness and always keep going forward no matter how much challenges or failures that you face. So that was the amazing ALN Rao, ladies and gentlemen, for us. Thank you so much, sir, for taking out your time and being with us. It was a really, really amazing session. We thank you from our bottom of our hearts, sir.
Good job, guys. A good initiative by you and your team members. And it's good to see boys and girls of your age trying to do something different and innovate and getting that entrepreneur spirit and picking up choices, choosing the topics, and picking up subjects and speaking to the right people and getting their views is a good start. And so kudos to your entire team. Congratulations in starting this particular initiative. Wish you all the best, and enjoy your time going forward, because you get your things right, you will be successful in your life. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.